Hey everybody, it is that time of the week again. Let's talk about episode 11 of Shadowhunters, Blood Calls to Blood. Before I get this started, I just want to say this has been the most accurate portrayal of a situation from the books on the show so far, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. So, without further ado, let's start this recap and review. At the beginning of this episode, there's a reunion between Jace and his father, Michael Wayland, after they have found him in Valentine's lair. Jace at this point is totally out of it, so everything going on around him he cannot comprehend. He's still suffering from the poison from the Ravener demon, and they have to get him help fast. So where do they take him? They take him to Luke's. Now, when they show up at the Jade Wolf with a very injured and dying Jace, we see, oh gosh, this is an amazing scene. We see Simon there talking to Luke, and he goes to try and get in on the situation and help out, but yeah, he gets stopped by a ray of sunlight streaming through the window. So he just kind of stands idle while they try and figure out a good way of helping Jace because the Rotsy's not working. And Clary comes up with the idea of a blood transfusion. So her and Simon head off to Hotel d'Amour to get some blood for Jace. Now, let's talk about everything that went down with Clary in this episode. One scene that I found really intriguing was when Clary had this conversation with Michael Wayland about Jocelyn and how Michael Wayland apparently knew Jocelyn was pregnant, and then things just start not adding up to Clary, and she has become very suspicious of Michael Wayland, like all of us are. So yes, thank you. I was so happy with where things were going right here in this scene. So a little after that, when Jace has had his transfusion and is healed, Clary confronts Jace about the Falcon story and has finally realized that he was the boy in the story and that the Falcon was his. And that the Michael Wayland that they have met does not seem like the father Jace has painted to Clary. One of the next things that happens is that there is a kiss between Clary and Jace, and I found this scene very important later on, considering what happened at the end of the episode. Now, while they're all at the Jade Wolf and trying to figure out everything and how to find Valentine, Michael tells all of them something very interesting. He tells them that Valentine, over time, injected him with Downworlder blood and that eventually he developed enhanced hearing. And he tells them that he overheard that they are relocating Jocelyn to Renwick's, and now they need to go and find her there. Clary and Luke then decide to go and scout things out and see what's going on around there and find the place swarmed by demons. So after this whole scene of Jace training with Michael and a very odd conversation with his father, we see Jace and Michael go with Clary and Luke to Renwick's to try and find Jocelyn. After they get to Renwick's, everything goes crazy. Right when they get there, they're confronted by Blackwell and a bunch of Valentine's followers. They start fighting them all off, and then Luke stays behind as Clary, Jace, and Michael enter Renwick's to find Jocelyn. Well, they do find Jocelyn. Clary can't wake her up, and things got amazing right at this point. The demons start trying to get inside. Jace gets Clary to take the mortal cup out to make the demons go away, and when it doesn't work, Michael asks Clary to borrow the cup so he can try. Well, right when he gets the cup in his hands, he turns into Valentine, and everything makes sense now, and I love the way this was brought to life on screen. It was perfect. I know it's different from the books, but it was a really smart way to bring this part of the story to life on screen. Valentine then tries to use the cup to command the demons to attack his enemies. It does not work. Clary then shows him that she knows how to glamour things as well, and she actually still has the mortal cup, and Valentine is holding a coffee mug that says something along the lines of "World's Best Dad." I cracked up laughing at that part. It was very intentional, I could tell by Clary, but it wasn't so hey, look at that. Look what Clary did. That it overpowered the entire scene. So after he throws the mug to the ground, it shatters, and Jace attacks Valentine, now mourning the loss of his father once again. Valentine tells Jace that he really is his father, that Michael Whalen was never his father, and that Clary and Jace are siblings. This is perfect. And the way it was done was incredible. I am so happy with this. Now, after this, Valentine tells his family it's so great to have them all together again, and then he exits through the portal. Yeah, he knows how to make an entrance, and he surely knows how to make an exit. Alan Van Sprang is so wonderful as Valentine. Alright, so let's move on to Alec and Izzy in this episode. They had some wonderful scenes, which most of the time included Magnus, and I cannot get over all of these awesome scenes, especially Izzy's trial. So when we first see Alec, we see him still trying to figure out how to stop Izzy's trial. It is being rushed along. The Inquisitor shows up really fast to get this trial going. On behalf of Izzy, Alec goes to Magnus's and asks him if he will be Izzy's defense attorney. Well, he agrees, but he of course has a price. At first he tells Alec that the price is Alec. And when Alec refuses that, he tells Alec that he wants his bow and quiver. He wants something of his that proves how much his sister means to him. Alec agrees, and Magnus is probably the coolest defense attorney I have ever seen. He handles the trial with such ease, you'd think he does this all the time. When the trial begins, we see Magnus hesitant to grip the mortal sword for fear that he is going to die when he grips it. Well, he's told if he doesn't lie, he will not die. So he grips it, swears he will be truthful, and then the trial begins. After Magnus basically explains that the trial is pointless and not really why this is all going down and that it's all about the mortal cup, then Isabel is questioned and explains that she has no regrets over what she did, and then kind of attacks the Clave, telling them off. And once Magnus decides that it is time to question Lydia, Lydia joins Team Izzy. Okay, I totally did not see that coming. She explains to the Inquisitor that Izzy should not be being punished for showing compassion and trying to save a life. And after she walks off the stand, Isabel, Alec, Magnus, and Lydia, they're all kind of celebrating. And then the Inquisitor tells them, if the Mortal Cup is not turned in 24 hours, Isabel will be stripped of her runes and exiled from the Society of Shadowhunters. Wow, okay, yeah, I'm not liking her. I'm not liking her. Now, let's talk about Simon in this episode. There were a couple of really great scenes with him, and I feel like they really need to be mentioned. When we first see him, Luke is trying to teach Simon how to blend in with humans, and it's just not going over so well. He has a steak on a plate, and Luke goes and pours the blood in the plate into a cup and hands it to Simon, trying to make this seem like this is normal. Yeah, doing that in a restaurant is totally normal, Luke. I cracked up laughing at this scene. I love the scenes between Simon and Luke. They are so great. Another thing we see is when Simon and Clary go to the Hotel d'Amour to get the blood for Jace. Simon has proved to Raphael that he really knows a lot about the Accords, and Raphael decides to make Simon his right-hand man. Okay, well, that's new, and I cannot wait to see how this plays out down the line. One thing that I really loved in this whole scene between Simon and Raphael is when Simon and Clary threaten to blackmail Raphael. That is the only way they are able to get that blood from there, and I just love the expression on his face when he realized what they were up to. Alright, so let's talk about at the end of the episode what's going down with everyone. Now, Clary and Jace go back to the Institute and turn over the Mortal Cup to the Clave, so Izzy is off the hook, and now Alec has to pay up to Magnus. When he goes to give over his bow and quiver to Magnus, Magnus tells him to hold on to it after making a speech to Alec about his happiness, Alec's happiness, and Lydia's happiness, and that him marrying Lydia is going to make everyone miserable. I loved this scene, and I cannot wait for the Malik episode next week. One other scene that I really loved, and I felt so bad for Simon at this point, was when Luke told Simon that Jace and Clary are siblings. Simon, okay, this felt so much like Book Simon. Every time I see Alberto as Simon, really feels like Book Simon. But it was so amazingly perfect that I cannot get over this scene. Simon is now feeling a spark of hope for him and Clary to be in a relationship. And I just... Poor Simon. Come on, go find Izzy and be with Izzy because, yeah, you belong with Izzy. He does. He belongs with Izzy. Now on to the one quote that really stood out to me in this episode. It was said by Izzy to Alec, and it's actually a little more like two quotes. The line was, "I'd rather be stripped of my runes and sent into exile than be part of this world. What kind of people sacrifice justice for law?" I found this to be probably one of the best quotes so far in this show, and it really was on point in describing how the Clave is. All in all, this was the best episode of the show so far, and I am hoping the next episode will top it because it is titled Malik, and hopefully we will finally get a Malik kiss. If we do not get a Malik kiss in an episode titled Malik, I will lose it. I hope y'all enjoyed this recap and review. Continue to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.